Hi, Bill Henshaw here again, Constitutional Crisis Channel, and it's been suggested that I do a video on some of my experiences in that jail cell in Columbia, South Carolina, and I think that's a good thing because there were reasons that I walked out of there. And one of the key ones is that while I was there, I helped out a lot of people, both black and white. And that's amazing considering the fact you would think I'm a white supremacist, but it worked out nicely. And I had a lot of respect among a lot of the blacks there. Yeah, yes, I'm sure there was some jail time there because they realized I could help them. But a lot of people had a lot of respect for me, including some of the corrections officers there after a while. They could see what was going on too. And this helped. I think the net result was that the people happiest to see me leave were in the office of the public pretender. Because I would have people come to me and bring their papers and the cases, and I would sit there and I would just jot down notes on paper off the top of my head. And some of the COs observed that closely and said to themselves, my God, what's this guy doing here? They couldn't figure it out either. But I would give them help, Supreme Court cases, and I would say, get this to your attorney, make them do their jobs. Because the problem they have there, that was a detention center, not a jail. And they were warehousing people there, and I think making a hell of a lot of money per diem from the federal government. I heard from people that know more about that situation than I do, it was upwards of $150 a day. And I can damn well tell you that very little of that went to food for the prisoners, outfits for us, or any services for us either. Somebody got a lot of tea times out of this kind of money that they're getting in there. So I was, I'm sure, perceived to be a danger to that whole system, and I damn well was. And then I had my two hearings. One of them was coming up on the year anniversary of it, where I went in and I just stopped them dead. I mean, I went in, and I'm the one standing there in the red suit and the shackles hand and foot, and they're the ones in trouble with the law. I wish I had videos of this, but they didn't take videos. To be sure, I think that was routine. They just didn't do it in any cases, but they wouldn't have done it in mine, because if you see this, and you see what I'm saying here with passion and courage and discipline, we can stop these bastards and make them afraid of us. How nice is that? Just exactly the opposite, and that's what the framers had in mind with the original intent of the Constitution, was to create a federated Republican form of government, where you had public servants that were in effect trustees of a trust, and we're the beneficiaries, meaning we're the ones that give the orders. That's what I'm going to be calling mindset magic in my later videos. Once you understand that simple fact, that they don't have the power and we do, and all we have to do is have the right status, which I'll help you to develop that, raise the right issues, and the attorneys will rarely, if ever, do that, and mainly get into a court where both of the former are recognized, so all our rights are there, our issues are there, our status is there, and now we can get a court that will make a judicial ruling on it. And these issues, if my experiences have been any indication over the course of 4 decades, I have yet to be opposed on the merits of any constitutional claims I'm making. If that happens in a judicial court, how is the court going to rule? Can it possibly think it's going to be able to rule against me and not get reversed by the Supreme Court? Particularly if the present trend continues with another Trump appointee or two, if they're, true to the rhetoric that he used during the campaign, and if they're true to the Constitution in Exile group, to which I think some of them belong, and we'll talk more about that on a separate video as to what I think about that and why. There's some very good things about that, but the people involved there need to go much further than they are, and maybe further than they want to. But if you're going to take the base positions that they do, and this goes back to the 1930s and all the crap that went on then under FDR and the court packing plan and all this, and the mega expansion of Congress's Commerce Clause powers, and we'll talk about all that stuff on a later video. But this is where you get the bastards, and you stop them dead, and that's exactly what I did. There was silence. The DA didn't say 2 words in the entire time in the court hearings that we had. We just had exchanges with myself and the magistrate, and they were pleasant, they were respectful. And for that reason, she's in no trouble for me when things do get going here with the lawsuit, because I think she basically did her job, and she may have been ordered to do certain things, which I would certainly like to know. I may never know that. But I suspect she got orders from a lot higher in the food chain, which if I could make that connection, really would be a much different case. And I would want to take it to the Supreme Court and get a precedent set that frees all of us, which in any event I hope to do before I go out of here 15 years from now, whatever it is, and be able to do that, or at least set the path so that you can follow me and save the freedom and independence for your children and your grandchildren and your posterity. But I'm telling you, you get into jail like this, and and one of my favorite movies, by the way, is Shawshank, and I had some similarities with Andy Dufresne there. I'm one of those that people look at me and look at me walking around and doing what I'm doing. I was virtually the only one on the sorry-ass excuse for a law computer they had, and I'm sure they were researching very closely what I was looking up, and I'm willing to bet you they took some things out so that if I got back there again, I wouldn't be able to do the same research. And I'm sure they monitored my phone calls, and I was told as much by my liaison counsel that they were doing that. But I was very careful. I never let on. This is discipline. And I wrote all of the important things to my friend back in San Francisco who assisted me, an incredible amount of assistance, and enabled me to get out probably sooner than I would have been able to do. And the record we have set is going to be, it's irrefutable. They have nowhere to go. They've got no immunity, and they'll have no immunity against you either if you don't start bringing these stupid-ass civil rights suits. That's what they want to see. Damn civil rights statute, 42 U.S.C. 1983, has, I think, in the latest version of the U.S. Code, annotated 3 whole volumes of cases like this thick if you held them all together. We have several other statutes that I'll talk about later that need to have their own cases, and very few of them have any case decisions at all, and no relevant case law decisions that raise major structural jurisdictional errors in the courts and make them liable, even the quote-unquote judges. And just think about this one for a second. How easy this is at times when you understand the situation. How can a judge claim judicial immunity from you in a lawsuit when he's sitting there fraudulently exercising jurisdiction in a legislative tribunal that the tribunal doesn't have? Now, how many of these black robe bastards are we going to have go to jail before they get the point to start doing the job they're supposed to be doing? Another focal point of my operations here. Once that starts to happen, people are going to wake up and say, wait a minute, we have to adhere to our oath and obey the Constitution. When that happens, my job will be done. And I hope I live to see it. I may not. Like Moses, parting the Red Sea. Maybe I don't see it either. I don't know. But I'm out there trying every day and trying to educate you so you can do the same thing with a lot less effort and a lot less risk than what I'm taking on. Because my life is a risk here. I get it. I'm a danger, especially to the Wall Street banksters. They're 120 Broadway, New York. They're the ones behind all this, and they're the ones I'm really going after. And for that reason, by the way, just a quick note before I close, I rarely, if ever, get angry with public servants that I come across. For the most part, because I realize that they didn't get educated either, and they're just doing their job, which is, of course, the same excuse they used in the Nuremberg trials with the Nazis. We were just doing our job. And it is a strikingly similar situation here. But for the most part, I don't sense the bad faith for the vast majority of public servants that I deal with. Heaven help the ones that are on the opposite side of that scale, because I'm going to go after them without hesitation and without remorse, and let them see how they like spending a hell of a lot longer time in jail than what I did. So that's where we are at the present time. I'll report back to you on the South Carolina case and let you know how it's going. But that said, the time I spent in jail, frankly, I've got some friends out here in California that I think I may have had some better days in jail there than what they did here. And in a way, that's sad to say. But it also goes to show that I made the most of the time I had there. Of course, it was very limited, and I couldn't do nearly as much as I liked. But I did try to make differences there. And I think before it's all over, that's going to happen, because the Public Defender's Office is going to get the message that they have to stop this massive violation of laws. It's not great here in California, but trust me, you do not want to be in a South Carolina jail unless you can do what I did with the help of my friend. On that note, we'll see you next time. Thank you.